Hey, everybody. Just a second. I got planes flying overhead right now. Okay, I think they're going. I live not too far from an Air Force base, and every Wednesday, I think they do their flight training. And it sounds like, or well, today's Tuesday. I don't usually do that till Wednesday. I'm not sure what they're doing today, but you might hear a lot of planes during the stream. Let's see. I had time to crochet for NC, but not to. Mrs. Portland Troll, I love you, mean it, and I like having you in here, but I'm not a fan of that name at all. If you could please change it, I would be grateful, but I don't think we need to be bringing anybody's child into anything. Hey, cool gamer, Shalma, just a chatter. Hey, Sarah, Breezy, change your name or me. I love you, Breezy. Makeup Sarah, hello. And I thought I'd put the Nightbot timer's out, but he seems to be going off. Let's see. Let me see if I can fix this right quick. Yeah, I put that on 18 minutes. Why is it doing that now? So let me disable some of these. Enable, disable. Okay, I think those will be good. We need to leave some of them in. Hey, Auntie in chat, I'm listening but won't be in chat for a while. Okay, Navigator. Yeah, you were breezy. Breezy, I think that's the first thing you said in here when you came in. Hey, Shelby Lou. Good to see you in here. Hey, Jason. Scared, don't want me to block bitch. Never, Jason, never. I don't think you're capable of doing anything that would piss somebody off. You're always so nice. Good morning. Hey, Jamie, good to see you. Y'all are just going to have to deal with Nightbot. I disabled a bunch of the comments, but he's still going off, and I thought I'd put them. Well, some of them I put like not till 18 or 20, 30 minutes, but he's already going off. So I don't know what this deal is. I'm looking at it now, and they're not supposed to be going off yet. But y'all can deal with Nightbot and my Mrs. Portland Nightbot. Emily, welcome. Jamie, Sarah, Breezy. Okay, I wanted to do this stream today because this is something that I deal with. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it, and that's rheumatoid arthritis. Because I saw something the other day where somebody's saying it's a terminal disease. And I mean, I saw it and I was like, what the hell? Let me look. Last time I heard it wasn't. No, it's not. It can be, but it's not. And so I just kind of want to give the clinical definition of it and then tell you a little bit of what I deal with this stuff. So maybe, if you have a loved one that has it, it may give you a better idea of what they're going through, or, you may have it and not even know it yet. Yes, RA can be very brutal, Jason, but a lot of people don't really understand it because you're trying to silence me. So that's a lot better. I like that better, Mrs. Portland. But a lot of people don't really understand it. And the word rheumatoid arthritis, people like me, who, whenever I was first diagnosed with it, you just see the word arthritis and you think, your standard everyday, oh, my shoulder hurts or something like that, your osteoarthritis. And so whenever I was first diagnosed with it, I didn't pay attention to it. I was actually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis whenever I was either 28 or 30. I can't remember the exact age I was. And it wasn't really a problem for me back then. It was something that they found during a routine test of blood work that I was taking at the time. And my doctor had always questioned why I have a high white blood cell count. Your white blood cells are the ones that, if you get sick or you have an infection, they go in and they attack that to heal it. Your white blood cells have a lot to do with your immune system, and mine always ran high, and they couldn't figure it out. So whenever I was about 30, I was 28 or 30, my doctor had put me through rounds of antibiotics and everything. They couldn't figure out why my blood cell count was high, so he sent me to an infectious disease specialist. They ran a series of blood work and they found the rheumatoid arthritis, and it's a very specific blood test. It's not something that you're going to find in your standard CBCs. And he told me at the time, you have rheumatoid arthritis, but I didn't feel like I had arthritis. It wasn't a problem. So I was like, okay. And he's like, well, I want you to go see a rheumatologist. And, you're 30 years old. You think you're invincible. And ain't nobody got time for all that. And So I ignored it. I didn't look into it. I heard the word arthritis. So I thought, okay, I got arthritis. Everybody gets arthritis, not a big deal. But see, rheumatoid arthritis is actually an autoimmune disease. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you the clinical definition. And you'll often hear to it referred to as RA. So the clinical definition of this, it says RA is an autoimmune disease, which means that a person's immune system mistakes the body's healthy tissues for foreign invaders. It's also a systemic disease that it can affect the whole body. As an immune system responds, inflammation occurs in the target tissue or organ. This can include your joints, your lungs, your eyes, and your heart. So basically what autoimmune is my immune system has superpowers. And my immune system is so badass that it'll attack me from the inside out if I don't keep it in control. Whatever you have, I have it worse. Right, Mrs. Portland. And so my immune system attacks myself if I don't keep it under control. But back when I was 28, 30 years old, I wasn't having like major issues or anything. I was sent to this guy because they couldn't figure out why my white blood cell count was high. And he said, you have rheumatoid arthritis, but all I heard was arthritis. And okay, not a big deal. But looking back over the past 20 years, I'm 50 now, I can see that a lot of things went on with me medically that was actually related to rheumatoid arthritis, but nobody caught it, that it was rheumatoid arthritis. Even though I'd been diagnosed with it back when I was 30 by this doctor, it for some reason just wasn't on my charts, and I never really cared to look into it. I didn't have time for that. Hey, Luann, Emily, Gail. And yeah, so there's that Nightbot. So my doctors have always classified me as a medical mystery because I've had all this weird stuff go on that they could never figure out what it is, and come to find out it's related to rheumatoid arthritis, but none of them cared to test me again for that. And I would tell them, well, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis whenever I was 30, but, they were just like, okay, I'd go in and, I've got pain in my knees. Well, you just need to exercise. You're getting old. Or I would go in, well, I have, these pains in my shoulders and stuff. Well, let's run you through tests. Yeah, you're okay. I'm a natural anomaly as well, Auntie, but for my superior genes. Of course, Jamie, of course. I've had psoriatic arthritis since I was 34, and now I'm 54. See, I don't know much about psoriatic arthritis, Gail. That's an autoimmune also, isn't it? So anyways, back to the clinical, more of what this clinical definition says. Generally, doctors typically divide RA into two distinct types, seropositive and seronegative. And I'm seropositive. And it says people living with seropositive RA will have high levels of antibodies in their blood called antisilurinated something peptides. It's known as the anti-CCP on the blood test. High levels of these antibodies can occur for up to 10 years before your symptoms begin. And then in contrast, people with seronegative RA will not have these antibodies in their blood, making the diagnosis more difficult. So there are people who have RA, but their blood work isn't showing that they have RA. And those people, it sucks for them because getting insurance to pay for anything to related to RA, if your blood tests are showing seronegative, is almost impossible sometimes. Hey, Irish twin. Thank you. Jan, good to see you. My soul is dead now, Mrs. P, and you burned it. Jane. But anyways, I have seropositive, so I guess I'm fortunate, you could say, because when you get RA and you go to that, you have that first appointment with the rheumatologist, which usually takes about 2 to 3 months to actually get that first appointment after it's made because they're always booked up. They usually put you on a drug called methotrexate. Are you raising awareness, Andy? Which you are raising awareness. I hope I am, Makeup Sarah, because if you have a family member with RA, you're not really going to understand what they're going through, and they're probably not going to tell you. And if you have it yourself and it's been undiagnosed, which is kind of what happened to me, if you wait too long, the effects of that can be detrimental. And you don't hear a lot of people talk about this disease. You started with methotrexate, but it made you sick, Gail. Yeah, it does that to some people. What methotrexate is, it's a low-dose chemotherapy pill. I'm sorry, you're again. I swear, Jamie, you and my former boss, my bestie, y'all are twins separated by birth. I'm going to talk about him a little bit in this too, because I have a story with him about this whole situation. But methotrexate is a low-dose chemotherapy pill. And whenever I first started taking it, you take it all 1 day a week. So when I first took, you're on Humira, Gail? I just got off of Humira because it quit working for me. I'm on Rinvoq now. When I first started taking it, he prescribed me 4 pills a week. So it was 4 pills of this low-dose chemotherapy that you take once a day. Or once a week, 1 day a week, you take all 4. And then that wasn't working. So, and what this does is it dumbs down your immune system. So people with rheumatoid arthritis, our immune system is like powerful, overactive, which causes it to start attacking us from within. So the first thing that they have to do is they got to dumb that immune system down. And they do that with methotrexate. My second visit with him, he moved me from four pills to 6 pills a week. And then I was eventually moved to 8 pills a week. Now I'm back down because he moved me back down to 6, and now I'm down to 5 pills a week. And with it being chemotherapy, there's a lot of side effects to that methotrexate as well. And Gail can tell you, she's one of those that made her sick. It's never made me sick. It has caused me to lose a lot of my hair. That's one side effect that sucks. And it can cause damage to your liver and other intestinal organs. So you have to constantly do blood work to make sure everything is not being affected by this drug. So, and this does go on to say, signs and symptoms: pains or achiness in more than one joint, stiffness in more than one joint that lasts longer than 30 minutes. And I think these are kind of a joke, actually, but this is off of Medical News Today. Swelling in more than one joint, systemical joint involvement. That means usually they say with rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm going to kind of dispute this too whenever I start giving my story, is that if one hand hurts, the other hand is going to hurt also. And that's another thing that is a difference between it and osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis is more of wear and tear on your joints. So you may, my hip hurts, or, my shoulder hurts, and it goes away or whatever. That's osteoarthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is actually your autoimmune system attacking your joints and causing major inflammation, and they hurt. It also says a general feeling of being unwell, a low-grade fever, weakness, joint deformity, loss of function and mobility, and unsteadiness when walking. So those are the clinical definition and the clinical signs and symptoms. Hey, Kerm. Now, Kerm was she and I were talking whenever I was first going through this. So she can kind of be witness to some of the struggles I had. I have cortisone shots in my knees and spine every 3 months. Right now, Gail, I've done 2 rounds of steroid shots in my knees. They last me about 3 weeks and then it's gone. So he's going to have to move me. He told me I'd have to go see a knee specialist to get the cortisone. You have both types of arthritis, Luann. Yeah. Another thing with rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of rheumatoid arthritis people, I guess is what you could say, do have osteoarthritis as well. I have a weirdo body too, Auntie. I have to do a daily injections because my body rejects insulin. The insulin it makes. Wow, Breezy. And you're young too. You shouldn't be having all that at your age. But what we often get osteoarthritis too. In fact, I've got I have rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, because you don't just have rheumatoid arthritis. If you got rheumatoid arthritis, you've got some friends that come along with it. I have degenerative disc disease in my back, and I have osteopenia in my feet and hands, which means bone loss. But it's not bad. I don't look all mangled up and everything. I promise, not yet. And once I start camming up, you'll see that. No, they aren't, Jen. What? I have cortisone shots. My knees is fine yeah. I want to get a cortisone and see if that works. So I came across this thing whenever I was first looking into it. And whenever I, became crippled, as you can say, that I'm going to read to you and I'm going to commentate my experiences related to this. And I'll do that here in a sec. But whenever I first, I was diagnosed at 30, I didn't ache and hurt and all that a lot. And I went to doctors over those years and they just kept saying, well, it's this or it's that, pretty much you're getting a little raggedy. My body is downright bizarre, Jamie. I don't doubt that. Hey, Drama Divides, good to see you. But in 2020, I literally woke up one morning and one of my knees was hurting real bad. And I just thought, what, it'll go away, it'll pass. And this is why I kind of dispute that if it comes on one side, you've got it on the other. Yes and no to that, because I just had one of my knees hurting. And then about 2 weeks later, my other knee started killing me as well. So I had both of them. And then eventually it moved up, over the course of the next few weeks, it moved up into my shoulders. And I got to the point where I could not close my hands. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I have scleroderma, Raynaud's, and thyroid disease. Yeah, my mom has Raynaud's. And a lot of people with RA developed that as well. Anyhow, I couldn't stand. I could stand up and I could walk, but it was very painful. And I don't know if any of you have seen that I Love Lucy episode where Ricky's in the wheelchair and he's pretending to be an old man. Hey, Tiff. To see you. Oh, okay. That's Mrs. Portland saying that to Drama Divides. Drama Divides, we have a troll, Mrs. Portland, in here. And she's funny. She means no harm. But it just came over my entire body over the course of a month. And this was in April of 2020, right when the whole pandemic thing started and everybody was scared to leave their house and all of that good stuff. Doctors weren't seeing patients in the office. You were having to do the televisits. And so I called to make an appointment with my doctor after about a month. In May, I finally called to make an appointment because I'm one of those, I got to be dead before I go to a doctor, especially being dismissed all these years with different things going on with my body. I just got to where I hate doctors and I've got to be dead before I go to one. Auntie, I'd love to speak to you about this offline. The more I listen, well, I am starting to wonder. Okay, Jan, my email is in my about page, so send me an email. I'm so allergic to mosquitoes and wasps, so I'm not good at outdoors. Cortisone shots, I'd rather hit my hand with a hammer. I'm going to have to go to those, Jason. I really am. But anyways, it was during the height of the pandemic when doctors they weren't seeing people in the office. They were only doing televisits. And my doctor's office is located inside a hospital, and the hospital over here was like ground zero for all that mess with the C virus and all of that. So I really wasn't interested in getting up and going, number one. And number two, I could barely walk at this point. I could barely walk. I couldn't close my hands. I was getting in pretty bad shape, and I kept thinking, oh, it's going to be better tomorrow. It's going to be better tomorrow. I can relate to some of the issue you have, as I've been diagnosed with the same. It sucks and it's so painful every day. Drama divides. I am so sorry to hear that you have this mess too. What painkillers do you take? I'm going to get to that here in a minute because this was a joke. I finally called my doctor, and granted, me and my husband were the only two that knew. I didn't even tell my mom what was going on with me, and she just lives about 3 to 5 streets down. I can relate, Auntie. I never see a doctor unless there's a problem that's insufferable. Yeah, I was the same way too, Jamie. Totally the same way. And it's because, I get tired of going in with different things going on, and they dismiss it. They tell me I'm a medical mystery. They just can't figure me out. And I just felt like I was wasting money at that point. So in May, I finally called and I made a doctor's appointment. Of course, it was a televisit. And I didn't see my actual doctor. I had to see his nurse practitioner. So I get him on the televisit, and I'm like, look, I can't close my hands. I can't hardly walk. To stand up was so freaking painful. And I had to literally sit here and swing my knees sitting in my chair for about 5 minutes, but I had to get up every 15 minutes, turn around, and then sit back down, or else my knees would just totally lock up, and it would be excruciating whenever I would stand up. And back to the I Love Lucy episode where Ricky's pretending to be an old man, and he's sitting in the wheelchair, and she's having to jiggle his knees, and he said, just keep jiggling, because he's got rheumatism. That is 100% true, because if you don't keep the joints moving, they lock up. But it also hurts to keep them moving because they're inflamed and they're painful. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. So that's basically the condition I was in. I got the televisit, and I tell him, I'm having a rheumatoid arthritis flare, because I did look on there enough to know, research it enough at that point to know that this is a flare, but I really didn't go any further in my research. And he was like, well, your chart doesn't say you have rheumatoid arthritis. How do you know that that's what you have? And I told him, I was like, 20 years ago, I was sent to this infectious disease specialist to find out why my white blood cell count is so high, along with oncologists, hematologists, you name it. They were sending me out to everybody, but he said at that time I had rheumatoid arthritis. And he said, well, you're going to have to come in and do some blood work. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. I can't walk. And at the time, we owned a 2013 Chevy Tahoe and a 2007 Nissan Xterra. So those are, you have to step up into those. And when your knees aren't working properly, that's kind of hard to do. I said, I know what it is. I've been diagnosed with it. Just prescribe me something to fix it. And he's like, well, okay. So he started me on meloxicam. And that didn't do a damn thing. So I went all the way to August trying to take this meloxicam and trying to get it to work. And then my mother got whiff of what was going on with me and threatened to whoop my butt if I did not make another doctor's appointment with my doctor. So I had a call with him, and it was August 25th, 2020 because that was my husband's anniversary. So I remember what we were doing that anniversary. And he was like, "Well, I need you to go to the outside lab to get blood work." And this is the first time I'd been out of my house since March. Well, probably the beginning of April. So that was a shit show in itself, trying to get me into the exterior because there was no getting into the Tahoe. I went down and did the blood work and everything, and it came back. And well, at first he asked me, he said, "Now, if your blood work comes out positive for rheumatoid arthritis, do you want us to treat it, or do you want me to send you to a specialist?" I said, "No, I prefer you to treat it." Because again, at the time, I had not done my research. I had no clue what this crap was. And he's like, "Okay." So he called a couple of days later and he said it was positive. He said, and I said, "Okay." He said, "So I'm going to refer you out to a rheumatologist." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. I thought you were going to treat it for me." He said, "Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Your numbers on this blood work is above my pay grade." And I was like, "Okay." So at that time, he prescribed me some prednisone. Now, prednisone, to me, is like crack is to somebody. I love prednisone. It's a steroid. But the problem with that is they will only prescribe it to you for like 2 weeks at a time, and they're real stingy with it because it can cause heart damage or something like that. It's not real good for you. But I got that prednisone and I felt like a new person. I could walk normally. I was still stiff, but I could actually close my hands. Prednisone, that sounds, yeah, like it's a dangerous drug, but it's like crack to people with arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis because really prednisone is the only thing that really, really works. Yeah, prednisone masks the shit out of all the pain. You'll feel super, like Superwoman, right, Navigator? It's a mask, it's a Band-Aid. And they don't like to prescribe it, but he put me on 40 milligrams of prednisone a day for 2 weeks at that time while I was waiting to get in to see this rheumatologist. Yeah, Gil, I can't sleep on it either. That stuff it's like crack. With prednisone, you might as well be handcuffed to the toilet. No, Jason, not with me. Prednisone did not do that to me. I used to have to give my roommate prednisone shots every morning. Yeah, prednisone is a great drug, but it's also a dangerous one. And, like Navigator said, it masks the shit out of all the pain. It's better than any pain medicine you could get. Yeah, 40 milligrams is a shitload. It is, Jason. I was on it twice a day, 20 milligrams in the morning, 20 milligrams at night. They thought she had the same things. Turns out to be she has fibro. Yeah, fibromyalgia is also a pretty wicked disease. I don't have it, but my aunt has it. So he gave me that, and at the end of 2 weeks, because he only gave me a week's supply, and I liked it. And it was just like finding a good drug. And he gave me a week's supply. So whenever I was getting close to that 7th day, I put in for a refill because you can do that on their portal online. And he granted that refill because my rheumatologist appointment wasn't for like until it was either the end of September or early October. So I still had a few weeks, and I knew what was going to happen if I stopped taking that prednisone. First morning she could put on her shirt without, we both cried. She was always in so much pain. Yep. Tiffany, rheumatoid arthritis is like that too. I had both hips replaced in the final fusion before I took 20 prior to the surgeries. I wouldn't take any payments. Sure as hell did not turn down that prednisone. Yeah, Navigator, prednisone is like crack. So at the end of the second week, I put in for another refill, and he told me no. I thought I was going to lose it. And of course, things started going back downhill within a week after that. And a week after, within a week after I took my last prednisone. So by the time I made it to the rheumatologist, I was pretty rickety. And that's when the rheumatologist started me on the methotrexate. Now, I found this thing that I'm going to read to you, and I'm going to commentate as I read it. It is called A Letter from RA. And it's something that I found whenever I was diagnosed back in 2020, officially diagnosed, put it that way. And I was doing my research. But this is called A Letter from RA, and I can't see it that well. I don't like. It says, Dear rheumatoid arthritis survivor, hi, my name is rheumatoid arthritis. I am an invisible autoimmune disease that attacks your body inside and out, making you want to scream sometimes and cry. I am now with you for life. I am so sneaky, I do not always show up in your blood work. Others around you cannot see me or hear me, but your body feels me. And they call this disease the invisible disease because if you look at us, unless we're to the point where our joints, start doing weird things on our hands and stuff like that, to look at us, you won't know. And we look fine, we look healthy. And a lot of times we're not going to tell you how we feel. Let's go back to it. I can attack you anywhere in any way I please. I can cause severe pain, or if I am in a good mood, I can just cause you to ache all over. Remember when you and energy ran around together and had fun? I took that energy from you and gave you exhaustion. Try to have fun now. And that's true. It is a very exhausting disease. But the bad thing about it is we can be so tired, but to get comfortable is a challenge. Mrs. P, I would cry when your husband wore the fish Carm. I could have had surgery for it, Tiffany, but the risks were too dangerous, but I cope okay. You have mild scoliosis. Oh, Tiffany, I'm sorry. Yes, I have. The more problems I've had from it was when I epidural during my son. Yeah, my niece has scoliosis. She's just now starting to go through all the process of treatments and stuff for that. That's a messed up one to have as well. But with rheumatoid arthritis, you do get tired and it's hard to get comfortable because your joints are hurting so bad. And a lot of times you're so tired and you lay there and you get insomnia, you can't sleep. And it does say, I can take good sleep from you and in its place give you brain fog and lack of concentration. My memory is not anything what it used to be before. I'm not going to say before I was diagnosed, but before the disease showed its ugly side. Hey, Wisdom, good to see you. And you get brain fogged and you'll hear me on a roll or something and I'll just stop because it's like, what was I saying? And some days it's not bad at all. Other days, some days it's worse than others, but it's just something you deal with. You learn to get over it. I can make you want to sleep 24/7, and I can also cause insomnia. And I already said that before. You sometimes all you want to do is sleep, and sometimes you want to sleep, but you can't. I can make you tremble internally or make you feel cold or hot when everyone else feels normal. And yes, the hot flashes, all you women that have been through menopause and everything, the hot flashes with menopause ain't nothing compared to what you have with rheumatoid arthritis. It's like the menopause stuff on steroids. And the trembling, I don't tremble on the inside, but my hands, like if I grab a hold of something to pick something up, I'll get tremors in my hands sometimes. And that's not something that's in well, I'm sure they have it medically written somewhere, but that isn't something that you experience. It says, I can also give you swollen hands and feet, swollen face and eyelids, swollen everything. I can make you feel very anxious with panic attacks or very depressed. I can also cause other mental health problems or, crazy mood swings. That is me. Whenever I was first really diagnosed back in 2020, my feet were so swollen up, they looked like footballs. I had so much fluid on me, it was ridiculous. And it was from all of the inflammation and swelling, and which is another thing that I'd been to the doctor with over and over for the past 5, 6 years, because that's when the swelling started happening. Hey, Sersha, hugs. Um, they would just say, well, don't eat table salt. Don't do this. I never ate table salt. I quit table salt back in my 20s. They would just have any kind of excuse for it except, oh, well, let's check this because my white blood cell count is still running high. But they just kind of write that off at that point. That's just her. That's just how her blood count is. So we're not even going to mess with it anymore because they had already sent me to oncologist, hematologist. They made me have genetic cancer testing done. They wanted to do what's it called? A bone marrow test, but I wouldn't. No, you're not going to go into my hip with that big ass needle and withdraw bone marrow from me. So all of this is going on with me, but they just dismiss it. They send me for everything, test for everything but what this is. And, things are just progressing over the course of 5 years. Now that I look back on it, that morning that I woke up in 2020 wasn't the first time I had aches and pains. This had really been coming on gradually since 2018 before I became totally crippled with it. Says crying for no reason, angry for no reason, that is me too. I can make your hair fall out, become dry and brittle, cause rashes, dry skin. The sky is the limit with me, meaning the sky is the limit with rheumatoid arthritis, and that is 100% accurate. My hair falls out because, I've always been a person who shed. I've always had a lot of hair and I just shed. But I think I shedded more than normal people, and then especially beginning of 2018. And then you're taking chemo, which makes it fall out even worse. I'm not bald. I still have hair, thank God, but my hair is nothing what it used to be. And it's thin, it's brittle, it's dry. And as far as skin conditions, a couple of years ago, my eyelids, for some reason, my eyes puffed up so bad it looked like I had been stung by a bee and I had an allergic reaction. And then I always have my skin conditions, they wrote off as you have eczema. But now we know it's from the rheumatoid arthritis. It goes on to say, I can make you gain weight no matter what you eat or how much you exercise. I can keep that weight on you, and I can also make you lose weight. I do not discriminate. Well, unfortunately, I'm one of the ones it made me gain weight. It didn't make me lose weight. And it hit on because you get to the point where even before the major onset of it that I had, since 2018, I was running around dealing with things because I had a lot of trauma going on in my family from 2018, the beginning of 2018 to the beginning of 2020. And so I was running around doing things, and I was kind of living in my Tahoe at the time because I was on the road all the time dealing with these things that were going on in my family. And I wasn't getting a lot of exercise because I was constantly on the road. And so I lived off of fast food and Starbucks coffee, Starbucks mocha frappuccinos. And I started gaining weight. And then the rheumatoid arthritis, the inflammation and everything that was coming in, because I look back then, my back hurt a lot of times, and I couldn't, if I walked or stood for too long, my lower back would start killing me. It says I can invade your skin, your joints, your lungs, your thyroid, your brain, your liver, and any other tissue, organs, or bones I wish. And with rheumatoid arthritis, your immune system doesn't just attack your joints. It can also attack your heart, your liver, and other vital organs that are in there. And I have 5 nodules on my lungs. I have 3 on one side of my on one lung, and I have 2 nodules on the other lung. And major thing that happened to me was in 2016. That was an RA related thing, and everybody missed the boat. Again, I wasn't one to go to doctors, but that year they decided they were going to get shitty at my company with the insurance, and they made a rule that if you didn't have a wellness exam before, I think it was before the end of September, then the following year we're going to deduct $25 out of your paycheck every month. So they were kind of forcing everybody to go get this wellness exam. Now, I have a primary care doctor, but there's also a clinic here in town that I refer to as the yo-yos because they're pretty good for taking blood pressure and doing a blood test. But as far as anything major with them, I would not go. However, it's the middle of September, and one of my employees was like, "Hey, have you done that wellness exam yet?" And I'm like, "Oh, crap." So I just made a quick appointment with them, figuring, it's a wellness exam where they can do blood pressure, blood work. That's about it. So I went in on Friday, and I did the blood work, blood pressure, and all that. Well, Saturday, I get a phone call, and it's the head doctor at this clinic, and he's telling me, well, first he's asking me if I'm having chest pains. Are you having any, palpitations in your heart? Anything of that nature. And I'm like, no, what the hell, and they're closed on Saturdays. And he said, well, we got your blood results back, and we noticed that your calcium levels are at 14 and they shouldn't be above 10. So I'm thinking calcium. Okay, well, good. I'm drinking my milk, getting my vitamin D, my calcium's good. Well, no. He told me that if my calcium goes up to a 15, I would have to go in the hospital because when your calcium is raised, it also affects your blood pressure, your heart, your kidneys, and everything else. And he was like, I need you to take it easy over the weekend. Don't do anything strenuous, absolutely no caffeine. And I want to see you back in my office first thing Monday morning. I'm starting to panic here because that's a scary phone call to get when you feel fine. I felt what I thought was fine. And so Monday morning I went in there and I did another round of blood work with them. And they were like, well, we also want to test your thyroid. Now, back in 2008, which could have been another RA symptom because if you have rheumatoid arthritis, you're real prone to this. I had a nodule come up on my thyroid, and they had to remove 3/4 of my thyroid to get that nodule out. So I told him that, and he was like, well, usually your parathyroid will cause your calcium levels to go up. So he sent me at 7:00 that night to have a scan on my thyroid. That was on Monday, and he's like, we're going to call you first thing in the morning, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking these people have then lost their damn minds. And so Monday came around. I'm working from home that day. Monday morning passes. I don't hear nothing from them. So finally, Monday afternoon, I called up to the office because I'm already pissed because number one, you called and scared the crap out of me over the weekend. And number two, you tell me you're going to call me at this time because this is like urgent, important, emergency type crap. And I don't hear from you. So I called up there and they were like, oh, of course, we'll leave a message and have them call you back. So by 4:00, I'm livid because I haven't heard nothing from them. Well, finally, they call me back and they're like, well, your blood work came out okay. Your calcium levels are okay, but we need you to come in to give a urine sample tomorrow morning because we're seeing something go wrong with your kidneys. And I'm like, what? So first you tell me I'm on the verge of a massive heart attack. Then you tell me, no, that's okay. And now you're telling me there's something wrong with my kidneys. I was like, you're fired. I'm not dealing with you people anymore. Go suck it. Because apparently you don't know what you're talking about. So I got off the phone with them, and I'm mad at this time. So I called my primary care physician. I'm like, I need an appointment. So I'm already pissed off at this other doctor's office. I get an appointment with my primary care physician 2 days later, and I'm on the way to go see him, and a kidney specialist calls me because the other doctors had referred me out to a kidney specialist after I told them I wasn't dealing with it, and I fired them. So I'm pulling up in my doctor's parking lot as I'm taking this phone call, and I'm just like livid, ripping, pissed at this point. So I go into my doctor and I tell him what's all going down, and he takes my blood pressure, and my blood pressure is skyrocketed. And I'm like, I've never had high blood pressure in my life. I mean, y'all need to fix this shit. Y'all need to fix it now. Y'all need to tell me, you need to tell me what's going on. So he did blood work, and he's like, okay, well, we're just going to, you don't have a history of high blood pressure. So we're just going to, chalk it up to you're pissed off right now. I'm like, all right, I want to see you back in 2 days. I want to check that blood pressure again. So I went in 2 days later. They got my test results back from the blood test. And he's like, yeah, we are seeing a problem with your kidneys. I'm going to refer you to a kidney specialist. I'm like, really? He said, but your calcium levels are fine. But my blood pressure was up even higher at that point. It was at like 192 over 98. And he told me, normally I would have you go to the emergency room, which they're located inside that hospital, and, check in there and have them get that down. And I was like, no, I ain't got time for that, because I was trying to work. I was one of these people that work 24/7. I ain't got time for that. Give me a pill. So it's like, all right, I'm going to give you a pill. I want you to keep track of your blood pressure. If that bottom number comes up above 100, you need to call me. All right. He goes, I want to see you back on like Tuesday. It was a few days later, weekend and a couple of days. So I went back in, blood pressure is even higher. And he's like, I really need you to go to the emergency room. I'm like, no, give me a higher pill. Y'all got pills to fix this. I don't have time. So he said, okay, he prescribed me yet another pill. He said, now, if it goes any higher than what it is now, you need to take this pill and call me, but don't take this pill unless it goes like super high. I was like, fine. So I went back to him a couple of days later, and he took my blood pressure again, and he walked out of the room, and he comes back with the wheelchair. He said, I no longer negotiate with terrorists. You're going to the emergency room. So off to the emergency room I go. They have me in there. They got me hooked up to an IV. They're doing all this stuff. And the doctor comes in. He's like, oh, it looks like your blood pressure is coming down. As soon as we get the blood work, you can go home. So I'm texting my boss back and forth and letting him know what's going on. And it's funny because my boss, the one that Jamie reminds me of, he had been telling me I looked haggard over the past, 3 weeks prior to that. He kept saying, you look haggard, you look tired, you look stressed, But our relationship is insulting each other. So I was like, yeah, fuck you. I didn't take him seriously. And anyways, the doctor goes out of the room and he comes back in. And he's like, you're being admitted to the hospital because my calcium was at like 16. So they started giving me shots and all this other stuff. And then they came in and told me my kidneys were only functioning at 37%. Eternal Flame, hello. And I mean, I had like a whole Dr. House team. If y'all ever watched that series House, I was sitting in my room at the hospital, and in comes a pulmonologist, a kidney specialist, one of the regular doctors that were on staff there. And they're like popping questions at me, like crazy, all of them. And I'm trying to answer them. And one of them was like, well, what medications do you take? Because the kidney specialist told me, you are a medical mystery. People's calcium levels just don't go up without a reason, because your thyroid, all that is checked out great. And so they were asking me what I was taking. And I said, well, I take Tums every now and then. So these people turned around and put it on my chart that I had a calcium spike because I ate too many Tums. And anyways, I was in the hospital for 4 days, and that's when they caught the lung nodules as well. Now, as they were getting my calcium levels down, my kidneys came back, the full function, but I still have the high blood pressure. But come to find out, rheumatoid arthritis can cause calcium spikes. People are with rheumatoid arthritis are more likely to have a calcium spike than anybody else. But yet they have on my medical records that it happened because I ate too many Tums. I would be having to eat bottles. It's like I sit around eating Tums. No, it was the rheumatoid arthritis. Did they check me for that the whole 4 days I was in the hospital? No. They checked me for everything else. So it says some of my other autoimmune disease friends often join me, giving you even more to deal with. The list of my friends is quite lengthy. I probably have more friends than you do because I've taken most of yours away. People with rheumatoid arthritis or people with any type of autoimmune disease are more likely to develop a second or third autoimmune disease as well. You're not blocked, Flame. Oh, shit. Flame must be reading Nightbot. That's my Nightbot. That's a robot. I just have him saying different sayings, but no, he's not telling you you're a blocked bitch. You're not blocked. Auntie, a quick question. Have you changed what you eat? I had to. I eat cleaner. I don't eat a lot of processed foods anymore. I don't do a lot of, hey, Gladys, I don't do a lot of like fast food or going out to restaurants or anything. It's usually cooked here. Hey, David, good to see you. So, yeah, I guess in that sense, I don't do processed and I don't eat sugar anymore. Like, I don't have sweet tea or I don't have desserts that have sugar in it and things like that, Saoirse. So, yeah, and I have changed what I eat because I found that if I eat a lot of processed foods and stuff, it tends to irritate it. That Nightbot needs to be shut down. Yeah, Eternal Flame thought the Nightbot was telling them they're a block bitch. I forget not everybody knows what that Nightbot is about. Says if you have something planned or are looking forward to a great day, I can take that away from you too. You did not ask for me. I chose you for various reasons. Now, rheumatoid arthritis has not taken away any of my real life friends, but I'm not able to hang out with them and do the things that I used to be able to do with them unless I'm having a good day, a great day. And so I've been real fortunate. You know, my friends have stuck by me. My husband stuck by me through this. Now, Grant, I'm a lot better today. Let's get that out there right now. I'm no longer, I mean, my knees still hurt and I still have aches and pains, but I'm on a new medication now. And we'll get to medications and rheumatoid arthritis here in a minute, but it seems to be helping a lot. It says that virus or viruses you had that you never really recovered from, or that car accident, or it was the years of abuse and trauma. I thrive on stress. You may have a family history of me, whatever the cause, I'm here to stay. Whenever I first got real crippled with rheumatoid arthritis and it reared its ugly head, I was coming out of probably one of the most traumatic periods of my life, one of the most stressing periods of my life that I went through. And it was with family stuff, nothing with me and my husband, but it was with our family that I went through it from the beginning of 2018 to the beginning of 2020. And it was like whenever I was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel on that situation is when this rheumatoid arthritis set in. So I do believe, and you know, and I've had it since I was 20, but it's reared its ugly head in other ways, you know, like with the calcium spike, the lung nodules, the high white blood count. You know, it's kind of pinged me and let me know that it's there, but I didn't know what it was. But I didn't feel the crippling effects of rheumatoid arthritis until I was coming out of that, 18, not 2-year traumatic, stressful period that we were having with our family. So I do believe it can lay dormant until, a stressor or something triggers it. But that's for me, that's how it happened to me. It's not going to happen that way for everybody. It says, I hear you are going to see the doctor to try to get rid of me. That makes me laugh. Just try. You will have to go to many, many doctors until you find one who can help you effectively. You will be put on the wrong medication for you: pain pills, sleeping pills, energy pills, told that you are suffering from anxiety or depression, given anti anxiety pills and antidepressants. Now, I'm lucky because my first visit to the rheumatologist, I mean, it was like love at first sight with both of us. He understands me, and he is the greatest doctor in the world. So, but many people with rheumatoid arthritis, they end up going from rheumatologist to rheumatologist to rheumatologist because they don't like their treatments, or a lot of these rheumatologists, they don't even care. They're just in it for the buck. So they throw, a couple of chemo pills at you and they're like, okay, see me in 3 months. I didn't have a flare up in years until I got sick with COVID, with the C word, and then it went crazy. I'm now getting it back under control. Wow, Saoirse. That's awful. I feel bad for anybody going through an autoimmune disease. They suck. You don't get sleeping tablets in the UK. They hate giving them out. I haven't had any sleeping pills. I take over-the-counter sleeping pills, but as far as like being prescribed any, they have not done that. But again, I'm lucky. I found a rheumatologist my first shot, and I think he's the most wonderful doctor in the world. He has literally saved my life. It says you will be put on wrong medication for you. One thing about rheumatoid arthritis, there's like 1,000 different medications. And the problem with rheumatoid arthritis is medications don't normally work on us for a long time. Whenever I first went to see my rheumatologist, that first visit, he put me on 4 methotrexate pills a week and told me to come back and see him in 3 months. The second visit I went to him, he upped my methotrexate dosage to 6 pills a week and told me to come back and gave me a Kenalog shot. Kenalog is a steroid. Even though I was begging him for prednisone, he wouldn't give me any prednisone, but he put me on 6 methotrexate pills. Then I went to him again and he upped it to 8. So at this time, I'm taking 8 low-dose chemotherapy pills. When those didn't help me at all, that's when he prescribed Humira. Now, I took Humira for a year, and Humira worked okay. I mean, it was nothing like the prednisone, but it worked okay. And then in that was May of 2021 when he prescribed that. And then by April 2021, they're having to move me to something else because Humira stopped working. And that's the thing with these drugs with us, because something can work great for a year or less, and then it just stops. He also put me on Celebrex, which Celebrex is an anti-inflammatory NSAID, and he put me on 400 milligrams a day. Whenever I first took it, the first 2 days were bliss. My knees felt good. I thought, okay, we found the golden ticket here. And then by the 3rd day, it stopped working. You take methotrexate, Red Door. Okay, so you know where I'm coming from with this drug. But no matter what they prescribe you, whether it be Humira, Celebrex, I still take Celebrex today. I don't know why, but he still has me on it. Or I now take Rinvoq. You always have to take the methotrexate with it because you've got to keep your immune system dimmed down so that your immune system doesn't attack the drug that you're taking. So the methotrexate is a low-dose chemo pill that dims down your immune system and allows whatever other drug that they pair with it to come in and do the heavy lifting of what it's supposed to do. Hey, Robbie. Good to see you. Y'all, if y'all have not seen Robbie's video that he put out yesterday, y'all need to go look at that. I've watched it like 3 times now. It is funny. Boy, this sounds fun. I don't get pain, which is strange, but maybe I will when I get older. Eternal flame. My back just aches if I stand for a long time. I know that feeling, Makeup Sarah. I'll drop the link. Yeah, Gladys, thank you. Y'all need to go check out that video and please give it a thumbs up. I bet Brooklyn thought you are nuts. I saw her in the video kind of looking at you. She's probably what is this guy doing? Yeah, that video was epic. I agree. I've watched it twice, Robbie, and cried laughing each time. Poor Brooklyn. She's probably about ready to call the paddy wagon on you. Okay, so to continue on, it says, there are so many other ways I can make you sick and miserable. The list is endless. That high cholesterol, gallbladder, blood pressure, blood sugar, heart issue, amongst others, that is me. I've been fortunate. It's only my blood pressure is the only thing that has been affected by this, other than having the nodules or lesions or whatever you want to call them on my lungs. I've been real fortunate that way. I haven't had any other trouble, but a lot of people do. It says, cannot get pregnant or have had a miscarriage. That is me too. Or the medication you take to try to escape from me. I've had 2 miscarriages and was never able to get pregnant again. So yeah, I think that, that could probably be the RA doing that did that. So I pray you don't get any. I can sit or hardly work now. Thank God you're pain free. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It says teeth and gum problems, TMJ, hives. Yep, that's me too. I told you the list was endless. So RA affects so much more than giving you achy joints. It literally affects your body from literally your hair down to your toes. So if you have a loved one that has it, try to understand where they're coming from, because realistically, if a normal person were to put themselves in my body, they would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do this. It hurts. I can't bear with that. But to me right now, I'm having a good day. So what is a good day to me, to a person who has not gone through rheumatoid arthritis, could be an excruciating day. But it's a good day to me because I've suffered a hell of a lot worse. Hey, DeLorean, good to see you. Auntie, did you do Ecterma injections? No, Red Door. I did Humira injections for a year and then they stopped working for me. Now I take a Rinvoq every day. And another thing about having rheumatoid arthritis that sucks is these drugs are so expensive. Humira, which is commonly prescribed to RA patients, is $15,000 a month. Insurance will pay a portion of that, but not a lot. So you have to go through the maker of Humira and Rinvoq, which is AbbVie, and try to qualify for their financial assistance, because all of these drugs are considered a tier 5 drug on your insurance, and they are extremely expensive. The Rinvoq that I'm taking right now is regular between $5,000 and $6,000 a month. So luckily, I get the financial assistance through the actual maker, which is AbbVie. I've got insurance, Eternal Flame, but with my insurance, it would be $1,000 a month because they only pay a small portion of it. So that's another thing that's in UK we get. Wow, I wish I got it free. I only pay $5 a month, but if I didn't have that financial help from AbbVie, it would be 1,000. What did you say you take? I take Rinvoq now, DeLorean. I was on Humira. I take Rinvoq and methotrexate. So any RA drug you take, they usually have you take the methotrexate along with it, which I wish they didn't, but you need to stay on it in order to dumb down your immune system. Hey Tracy, well my Termo was 5,000 a month, but my insurance covered it all. You have great insurance, Red Door. You have excellent insurance. But my insurance, which I go through my husband's insurance, yeah, they want to charge me. Well, with my insurance that I have now, it's $1,600 a month if I do it through the insurance without the assistance. Humira was what they were going to try to put my brother on before he lost his colon. Oh man. And then Jamie, well, you people are old. You're not that far away from us, Jamie. You are not that far away from us. This way, it's going to sneak up on you. You're going to be sitting here at 50 years old one day complaining about your aches and pains. It says, in all probability, you will get a referral from these understanding, clueless doctors to see a psychiatrist. Your family, friends, and coworkers will all listen to you until they get tired of hearing about how you feel, how I make you feel, and just how debilitating I could be. I can't pronounce it. Debilitating. There it is. I'm one of those. Nobody even knew I had it. Nobody. I sit here, unable to leave my house basically for 2 months before my mother even knew about it. And then I didn't tell anybody else until I got the actual diagnosis with the rheumatologist. And I don't complain. I don't, sit around, oh, I hurt, that hurts. I'm not one of those. So my friends and family didn't get tired of hearing that because they didn't really know. But some people's friends and family, if they're complaining a lot, they will get tired of it. But if you have a loved one with this disease, just let them complain. Trust me. It says some of them will say things like, oh, you're just having a bad day, or, well, remember, you can't do the things you used to do 20 years ago. Not hearing that you said you can't do things that you used to be able to do just 20 days ago. They will also say things like, if you just get up and move, get outside and do things, you'll feel better. They will say that, but it don't make you feel better. It doesn't. I found it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because you got to keep your joints moving. You've got to keep them, flexing or moving, because if you don't, they will lock up. But it hurts like hell to keep them moving some days. As I said again, right now, I'm good. I've been good for the past couple of months, but I also realized that I could wake up tomorrow and things be back to square one again. And that's where the anxiety of this disease comes, because you never know what each day is going to bring, how you're going to feel. And the depression comes from it. If you get in your head too much about it, then you'll start thinking, okay, well, in 5 years, what's life going to be like? Am I going to be in a wheelchair? Am I being a burden to my family? That's where the depression part of it comes in. Exercise works wonders, but staying in motion is the issue. Yeah, Robbie, you have to stay in motion, but then again, it hurts to stay in motion. So it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't. I sit here at my desk and I constantly swing my legs to keep my knees moving at all times. I'm Benjamin Butthole and I'm aging in reverse. But if I don't keep my knees moving at all times whenever I go to stand up, oh my God, the pain is horrible. But again, right now I'm doing really good. It's not nothing like it was. It says they will not understand why I take away the gas that powers your body and mind to enable you to do those things. Some will start talking behind your back. They will call you a hypochondriac while you slowly feel that you're losing your dignity regarding trying to make them understand, especially if you're in the middle of a conversation with a normal person and cannot remember what you were going to say next. That is spot on. The memory loss, it it will get to you some days. Some days it's not bad. Other days you will be in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of a sentence and just totally forget what you were talking about. Oops. Thank you, Robbie. They will not understand that I take away the gas. It says you will be told things like, oh, my grandmother had this and she's fine on her medication. When you desperately want to explain that I do not impose myself upon everyone in the exact same way. And just because that grandmother is fine on the medication she's taking does not mean it will work for you. And again, that's very true. And one thing to never, well, some things to never say to a rheumatoid arthritis patient is, oh, just go do some yoga and meditate. You'll be fine. Or never compare your osteoarthritis to rheumatoid arthritis because, or say, oh, I know how you feel. You know, I got arthritis in my shoulder. You don't know how we feel at all because it's two different. It's like apples and oranges, two totally different things. The only place you will get the kind of support and understanding in dealing with me is with other people that have me. They are really the only ones who can understand I am an invisible illness. I am your chronic illness, always and forever, RA. And whoever wrote that should be like given an award because that's somebody who knows what it is. That's somebody that goes through it. And that letter that was written from rheumatoid arthritis, it could not be more true. But today I'm doing good. I'm able to get out and drive places. That's another thing. I had to give up my Tahoe last year because there was no way I would ever be able to climb up into that again. And I had to switch to a small sports car, which I love my car, don't get me wrong, but I prefer big trucks. But today I'm doing good. I've been taking this Rinvoq since May and it's really working for me and it's really helping. And, you know, I don't have to use a walker or I don't have to, you know, use special helps to grab a hold of anything right now. But I know that, you know, I could wake up tomorrow and it'd be a totally different world. Right now, you see me at the gun range having fun and everything, but that could all end at the drop of a hat. And that's another thing where the anxiety of this disease comes from because you're just anxious, not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah, I said Tahoe, DeLorean. We still have the Tahoe, but I had to get a new sports car so I could get into it. Thank you, DeLorean. You can enjoy life, Auntie. Yeah, I can enjoy life at the moment. And boy, I have been, trust me. But I was literally prisoner in my own house for, I would say, 2 years. Even after I got my car, I was still a prisoner in my own house because it's a pain in the butt to leave and go anywhere. Like, I can't just go walk around Walmart. Auntie, you probably answered this question, but how long ago was it before the RA was diagnosed? I was diagnosed whenever I was either 28 or 30. I can't remember the exact age, but it's one of those two. and it wasn't a problem. And I woke up one morning basically crippled in 2020. So it's been the official diagnosis and treatment and everything started in 2020. Oh, thank you, DeLorean. Don't be sorry. And it's something I deal with. I keep a good attitude about it because I think attitude is, you know, very important. You can either look at it and joke about it and keep a good attitude about it, or you can get inside your head and live in depression, which I'm not going to do. Auntie, did they tell you what stage you were in? He doesn't stage mine. He said mine is moderate to severe. Yes, positive ad disease with any disease is essential. Yeah, I totally agree, Gladys. I choose to live in depression. It's easier. That's sad, Jamie. If you do choose to live in depression, for one, I'm not about that life. Now, I was depressed for 2 years whenever I was virtually a hostage in my own house. But now I can pick up and go whenever I want, which has been liberating. Suit yourself, Dan. But I just hope that me talking about this can help people understand it a little bit better, and also help people who have loved ones that have this disease help understand that person a little bit better. Or if you have things going on with you medically and you're a medical mystery like I was, maybe do some research on it and demand that your doctor give you a test. Because I was clear when I was diagnosed, I was like, oh, arthritis, all right, whatever, bye. Spread awareness. That's the best thing to do. Yeah, I think it is because, again, it's not a terminal disease. We're going to get that out there too. It's not terminal, but it can lessen the quality of life. And it can be terminal if you don't get proper treatment for it because, again, it can attack your internal organs. Basically, your body is attacking itself from within. But me, I'm getting proper treatment. I'm very happy with my rheumatologist, and I'm doing really good right now. Now that can all change. Have you thought about getting those braces like Forrest did in the No, Jamie, no. I do have a walker. I know you asked me one day if I had a walker, and I told you no. I have a walker. I don't need to use the walker now, but I did before we worked to get this under better control. Actually, I have two. I have one inside the house, and I have another one that I keep in the trunk of my car just in case I need it. Also, finding the right physician is important. Yes, Gladys. I got lucky. I got real lucky that I found my guy the first shot, because a lot of people have to move from others. Can I help you run, Auntie? I'll cheer you up. Yeah, right, Jamie. I'm not giving you that ammunition at all. In end stage RA, people may still experience pain, swelling, stiffness, and mobility loss. There may be reduced muscle strength. The joints may become destroyed. Yes, it can totally destroy your joints. It can destroy your spine too. As I said, I've got degenerative disc disease in my back. Raise the toilet seat may help you. Raised toilet seat may help you as well. Yeah. We have to be our own advocates when it comes to how our physical being is. Yes, because these doctors, I've been told I'm a medical mystery so many times. And even my rheumatologist, the last time I was in there, he told me, he said, you're an interesting case. And I'm like, how? Why? And he said, because your numbers are always like skyrocketing, but you look like you're doing a lot better. So even my rheumatologist, knowing what I have, treating it, still says I'm an interesting case. Oh, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to drop the link if anybody wants to come up. Hey, Jan. But my email is in the about section of my channel. Feel free to reach out to me via email if you want to. Advice for everyone: enjoy life right now. You may never know what you might get handed to you later. Don't wait. If you want to see something, go right. Turn the frog. You're a guinea pig. But yeah, we're guinea pigs, Jamie, actually, because it's like try this and try that and try this until they find something that works. Get on or off the toilet. Screws into your seat. I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. I need raised toilet seats right now. I was that bad at first until I got it halfway under control. I didn't see it, so I sent you a message on Instagram. Okay. For some reason, on your about page, it won't show the email address, or it'll say email, and you have to click on where it says email, then it'll pop up. That confuses people a lot of times. But yeah, so be your own advocate with your doctors. If you got things going on and they keep saying, well, we can't find anything wrong with you, the test show, blah, 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 get on the internet and research it. I jumped down for a while on the phone with my doctor. Okay, Jan, I thought you were in here earlier. Stop screen there. I'm going to go ahead and drop my. Can you send it to this email address? I'm hardly ever on Instagram. Anti. Thank you, Makeup Sarah. There's my email. I just put in chat if anybody wants to email me with anything. I hope I was able to kind of shed some light on it because, as I said, a lot of people just see the word arthritis and think, oh, okay, creaky joints. Thank you, Kerm. Kerm was around with me online whenever I first started going through all this crap, so she remembers. Because I was just kind of like, what the hell is going on? I can't move. Let me see if I can find that picture. I have a picture of what somebody with really bad rheumatoid arthritis, what their hands will look like. And it's pretty scary. Share. That's what a rheumatoid arthritis will do to your hands. Stop sharing. That didn't share. Wait a minute. Let's see if I can do it this way. Share screen. Yeah. See if it does this. That's what it can do to your hands. Fortunately, I'm not to that point. But that's what severe rheumatoid arthritis looks like. Yeah, that's a real bad case. Hopefully, I never get to that point. But it can happen. But I'm very fortunate to have it under control at the moment. I have a meeting. Thank you for sharing. Bye, Red Door. It's good to see you. But I think I'm going to, if y'all don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. And I don't know when we're going to do Waco again. We're supposed to do it on Brandy's channel, and it's supposed to be tomorrow. And I sent her the thumbnail, but I haven't heard anything. So I know she's like real busy doing stuff right now. So as soon as I hear, I will put it on my community post. So be watching for that. And guys, thank you for coming, and y'all have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.